You may have seen it before without thinking much about it. One plant sitting quietly in the corner, barely changing week after week. And right beside it, another one that seems to wake up almost overnight. In just a few days, tiny green shoots appear where there was nothing before. It feels surprising. Almost too fast to trust. Many people assume that slow growth means better quality. That if something grows quickly, it must be weak or less valuable. But here, the opposite can sometimes be true. A plant that takes only days to grow may offer something just as useful, or even more. If this feels confusing, that's very common. You're not doing anything wrong. There is a simple reason behind this difference, and it has less to do with effort and more to do with understanding the plant itself. What looks like a shortcut may actually be nature working in a very efficient way. Before explaining why this happened, it helps to understand what's quietly taking place right in your own home. Many gardeners focus only on outdoor spaces. Soil, sunlight, watering schedules. But there is something smaller, almost hidden, that often gets overlooked. It happens in the kitchen, near a window, or even on a simple counter. A small daily habit can make a big difference. Not a difficult one. Not something that requires tools or strength. Just a simple act of placing seeds in the right condition and allowing them to begin. These seeds do not need deep soil. They do not need weeks of care before showing signs of life. In fact, they begin their work almost immediately, even before you notice anything on the surface. This quiet process changes how we think about growing food. It brings gardening closer. It removes the distance between effort and result. And once you see it happen, it becomes hard to ignore. For a long time, many of us were taught that slower is better. That a plant taking its time must be developing something deeper, something stronger. And in many cases, that is true. But not always. Some plants are designed to move quickly. Their purpose is not to grow tall or produce fruit over months. Their purpose is to deliver nutrition in a short time, while the energy inside the seed is still fresh and active. This is where the idea begins to shift. Faster growth does not mean lower value. It simply means a different kind of value. When we understand this, we stop comparing plants in the wrong way. We stop expecting every plant to behave the same. And we begin to notice something important. Some of the simplest plants are also the most efficient. A common mistake many beginners make is waiting too long. They plant seeds and expect them to grow into something large before they become useful. They water, they adjust, they wait again. But for certain plants, the best time to use them is much earlier. Overcomplicating the process can reduce the results. Too much water, too much handling, or simply too much waiting can take away what makes these plants special. It is not about doing more. It is about recognizing the right moment. And often, that moment comes much sooner than expected. There is also a quiet assumption that all useful plants must be grown outside. In a garden bed, under the open sky. But that is not always necessary. Some plants are perfectly comfortable growing indoors. They do not need space. They do not need heavy tools or strong sunlight all day. They fit easily into daily life. This changes something important. It removes the barrier that stops many people from starting. You do not need to bend, dig, or lift. You do not need a large area. You only need a small space and a little attention. And that makes it possible for more people to enjoy growing something of their own. What happens in the first few minutes is easy to miss. You place the seeds on a moist surface. Maybe a small tray, maybe a simple cloth or paper. Nothing seems to happen. But inside the seed, a quiet change begins. Water enters. The outer layer softens. The seed wakes up. This is the start of everything. It does not look important, but it is. Without this moment, nothing else follows. And once it begins, it continues on its own. You are not forcing the plant to grow. You are only creating the right conditions. And then, you allow it to do what it already knows how to do. You may notice that some homes seem to get better results than others. The same seeds, the same method, but slightly different outcomes. This can feel frustrating, but there is a simple reason. Light, temperature, and air all play a role. A bright window may speed things up. A cooler room may slow it down. Even small changes in airflow can affect how the seeds respond. This does not mean one home is better than another. It only means the environment is different. And once you notice these differences, you can gently adjust. Not by working harder, but by observing more closely. After a few days, something interesting begins to happen. Tiny green shoots appear. They push upward, even in a small space. At first, they seem delicate. Almost too small to matter. But then you notice how quickly they change. Each day, a little taller. A little fuller. This is the moment many people miss. They see the early stage and assume it is not ready. They wait for something bigger. But this stage is where much of the value is. It is brief, but it is powerful. This brings us to the question many people wonder about. How can something so small and fast-growing be compared to foods like olive oil or even salmon? The answer lies in what the plant holds during this early stage. Certain seeds, especially those like flax or chia, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. When they begin to sprout, these nutrients become more available. Easier for the body to use. You are not creating something new. You are simply unlocking what is already there. And because the process is quick, the nutrients remain fresh and active. This does not mean replacing everything else in your diet. It simply means adding something simple that supports your health in a gentle way. For many people, this feels almost too easy. A small tray, a few days, and something useful appears. It can be hard to trust simple solutions. We are often taught that value comes from effort, from time, from complexity. But nature does not always follow that rule. Sometimes, the simplest process is also the most effective. And once you see it for yourself, the doubt begins to fade. If you would like to try this, there is no need for special tools. A small container, a clean surface, and some seeds are enough. Place the seeds in a shallow layer. Add a little water, just enough to keep them moist. Not soaked, not dry. Then place them in a spot with gentle light. There is no need to check them constantly. Just a quick look once or twice a day is enough. You are not managing the plant. You are simply watching it grow. Within a few days, you will begin to notice small changes. The seeds open. Tiny roots form. Then the green shoots appear. It may seem like a small thing, but it builds confidence. You begin to trust the process. You begin to see that not everything requires effort. Observation becomes more important than action. There is one small caution to keep in mind. Too much water can cause problems. The surface may stay too wet, and this can lead to mold. It is not something to worry about, but it is something to notice. A light touch is enough. A little moisture, a little air, and the seeds will do the rest. Again, it is not about doing more. It is about doing just enough. You may also find that results vary from person to person. Some will see faster growth. Others may need a little more time. This depends on the environment, the seeds, and even the season. And that is perfectly fine. Gardening is not about perfect results. It is about understanding patterns and adjusting gently. Over time, you will find what works best in your own space. The routine itself is very simple. Keep the seeds moist. Give them light. Check on them briefly. There is no need for strict schedules or detailed plans. Consistency matters more than complexity. And once the rhythm becomes familiar, it feels natural. This small process can change how you see gardening. It shows that growth does not always require space or strength. It shows that small efforts can lead to meaningful results. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds you that nature often works quietly, without needing much from us. If you're comfortable sharing, I'm curious what kind of plants you've tried growing at home, even in small spaces. Sometimes the garden improves when we simply step back and observe. When we allow things to happen at their own pace, without trying to control every detail. In many cases, doing less really does lead to more. And that is a gentle idea worth remembering.